You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
I'm Stephen Cabral, board-certified naturopathic doctor, and I'm looking forward to talking to you today about a really important topic. So when we hear about sleep, a lot of times people think that they can do without, they can get a little less, like if something has to go in their life, that sleep might not be the priority. But here's the issue. When we're not functioning at our peak, a lot of times it's because our bodies are tired. And part of that is this, is that it's not just your mind being tired. It's not just your nervous system being a little bit exhausted. It's what it does to all the different areas and facets of our body. So we might not be as sharp mentally. That's absolutely true. Our nervous system might be not as strong, so we're not reacting as well. But also it starts to wear on our emotions. It also starts to wear on our actual thought process. So we're a little less interested in maybe going to the gym. We're a little less, I would say, cognizant of our food choices, meaning like we're willing to slide a little bit because we're looking for food now as energy because we're not getting it during the night. A lot of times you'll find, and I've read the research and I've actually reviewed it before in the Cabral Concept, is that when you're not getting your 8 hours of sleep per night, you're not able to as well regulate blood sugar levels. So what does that mean? Well, it means that when you're taking in sugar, that you're not able to pull it into the cells as well, and you're typically waking up with a little bit higher of a blood sugar level, which doesn't mean that you're burning body fat as effectively during the night. So yes, it's affecting your body transformation, it's affecting those goals specifically, but it's also affecting your health. And so I would say this, that there is nothing that a good night's sleep won't improve in your life. It makes everything better. And on the other side of that coin, if you're not getting a good night's sleep, it affects everything else in your life too. Yes, immune system, wellness, anti-aging just kind of creeps up. And it's typically not just one night's sleep of missed, but it's what it does over the course of weeks and months. So let's get into how you can improve your sleep cycle. And really, I'm going to answer a couple questions that just keep coming up. But this is what it's all about. It's about this, is that I understand that not everyone's going to be able to get to bed around 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night. I understand that. Some people work a night shift. Some people just don't like to go to bed that early. Sometimes their spouse isn't getting home as early. They eat later. So let's talk about this. Ideally, we would like you to sleep somewhere around 10 o'clock at night to about 6 o'clock in the morning. That's ideal. Why is it ideal? Well, you have to keep in mind that our bodies work with a natural circadian rhythm of also our environment. So as the sun starts to go down, there's actually a change in the actual light rays that we're going, and we're not going to get into that today because I don't always want to get as specific into the science. Sometimes people's eyes start to glaze over, they get a little bored with it. I want to give you what really matters. And that means let's keep things simple. As the light starts to go down, or as the sun starts to go down, our body starts to produce more melatonin. Our body is supposed to then get ready to go to bed. All right. So when it's dark out, we go to bed. When the sun starts to rise, we get up. We know that this is a normal circadian rhythm. It's because it's how our bodies developed over millions of years. Okay. So, and you also know this to be true, that if you were to be put outside in, let's say, somewhere near the equator, and you would go to bed when it started to get dark, and let's just say you lived outside, you didn't have this access to electricity, you would also begin to wake up with the sunlight. That's just the way the body was meant to be. Now we can get out of that. We can get out of that rhythm because we have iPhones and iPads, and we have TVs, and we have all of these lights shining into our eyes well into the 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, whatever time it might be, and that affects our body's ability to produce melatonin, because melatonin is produced when our bodies start to get into the darker hours of the night. And that's really, really important. So I'm going to give you some of my recommendations right now to get that melatonin being produced naturally. So one thing that's really important is just make sure that your gut function is optimal. And the reason is this, is that you need to produce serotonin. You need to actually manufacture that neurotransmitter right in the gut. And then from serotonin, then you're going to be able to optimally produce melatonin. So that's one of our starting points. But also we need to wind the body down at night. And so that means this, is that we need to start to turn off the TV a half hour, an hour before bed. Really important. Start to get ready for bed. You can wash your face, you can take a warm shower, you can take a warm bath. If you can do an Epsom salt bath, even better. Epsom salt is really simple. You can just buy it anywhere. It's literally magnesium sulfate, and that magnesium can then transdermally get right through your skin into your bloodstream, and that can start to calm that nervous system. If you don't want to do that, you can simply just do some stretching, some very light stretching on the ground. You can just stretch your hamstrings, you can stretch your quadriceps, you can stretch your psoas muscles, your hip flexors, just really calming, really relaxed. Work on your breathing specifically. The breathing then will then calm down your body. Now you could do some meditation before bed. That works great as well. You could take a light walk after dinner. That's going to calm down the nervous system. The best thing though is to get off the phone, get away from the email, just shut that off for the night. The last 30 minutes of your day is your time to really wind down. Make sure that your bedroom is a nice cool environment, that everything is perfect, that you're not too warm, not too hot at night, and that it's nice and dark in there. Make sure that you have room darkening shades, room darkening blinds, whatever works to keep the city lights out. If you live in the city, like I do, that's really, really important. And then I'm going to talk about how to wake up if you do have these room darkening blinds or shades in one moment. But that's the preparation for bed, the meditation, the calming of the body. You can also read just 10 minutes of a book, and that 10 minutes of a book is going to get you into that sleep cycle. Now, I'll talk about supplements at the end as well, because supplements might be needed for the first 2 to 3 weeks to get yourself to sleep quickly. Now, if you're someone that falls asleep, then great. That's really important. That's important that you do fall asleep within 10, 20 minutes of your head hitting the pillow at the maximum. If not, you're dealing with a little bit of insomnia and not being able to turn that mind off at night. So a couple of the questions that came in, I want to answer those right now as well, is do you recommend any particular alarm clocks? Do you recommend snoozing when you wake up? Anything like that? So this came in actually, I believe it was from Erica. I apologize, Erica S, I believe. But if I don't have that wrong, we get so many questions on sleep that I'm answering it for everyone. So really, like I said, important that you just get into bed, that you fall asleep right away. To correct that, if you're not able to fall asleep, we do recommend some liquid melatonin or some melatonin that just does dissolve under your tongue. If that makes you groggy, that's why the liquid base gets into your system quickly and out of your system quickly. That works great. We do recommend things like magnesium citrate before bed that can calm the central nervous system. And then a specific thing called Best Rest Formula. Again, this is just all at stevencabral.com/store. You can see our deep sleep formula. It works fantastically well. I've been using it now for years. This whole sleep cycle really cured me of my massive insomnia that I had for about 25 years of my life. It was brutal. It would take me 3 hours or so to fall asleep. Sometimes I would never even fall asleep during the night. But the biggest thing is this, and that's what I want to share with you right now. I never could fix my insomnia until I started to go to bed within 30 minutes of the same time every single night and wake up within 30 minutes of the same time every single morning. So how does that work? Well, I used to not go to bed until 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, or later in the morning, which of course is not good for you at all. If you're looking to detoxify, if you're looking to get healthy, you have to get to bed before midnight. The more hours before midnight, really, the better. So what I did was I just literally worked back 15 minutes essentially every week. So from 12 o'clock, I then went to 11:45, and then to 11:30, and then 11:15, and then 11. I just kept working back till about 10:30 at night. And I stayed there for quite a amount of time. And now I go to bed closer to the 10 o'clock hour. That seems to work really well for me. It works well for being able to spend some time with my wife before we do go to bed. And then also just making sure that I can wake up by the 5:30 to 6 o'clock hour. I wake up right around that time. That works best for my body. It also works best for my work-based schedule. So that took some time, but it worked out. And again, I don't allow myself to go to bed really at that later time. Now, a special occasion, absolutely, that does happen, but not for 3 weeks. To get yourself in bed within that 30 minutes of time and waking up within that 30 minutes of time for 3 weeks, that will help you to reset that sleep schedule. And it's helped for hundreds of people that I've worked with insomnia. And use the nutritional supplements as needed as well. Don't have a big meal before bed. Wait a couple hours before bed to have that meal. Make sure it's out of your stomach. And then alarm clock. So I don't recommend waking up to like that air raid siren of an alarm clock. And one of the reasons is that it really starts to produce too much cortisol in a lot of people. It creates anxiety. Not a great way to start your morning. One of the things that I recommend is something called a wake light. Philips makes a great wake up light. Essentially what it does is it lights up at a very low level, about 30 minutes before you're supposed to wake up. And then each minute, it gets a little bit progressively brighter. This was one way that allowed me to wake up without being groggy. Because again, I was someone that suffered from really severe chronic fatigue syndrome for many, many years. Now, I would wake up really groggy, and I have to use the room darkening shades. If not, just the street lights right outside of our windows is just too much. You can't fall asleep. You won't produce any melatonin. So this is that happy medium. And it's something that I found, I just think it's absolutely fantastic. I believe it's somewhere around $99. I'll link it up in the show notes. I'll link directly to it. And what that does is allow for us, or for myself specifically, to wake up without being groggy. And I usually wake up before the alarm goes off, typically on most mornings. But if it doesn't, it actually has a little knob that you can change to go from an alarm to birds chirping. And the birds just get progressively louder and louder. So you wake up to the birds chirping instead of, again, that air raid siren that just wakes you up too harshly to start your day. I really believe that you need to start your day a little calmer. That certainly helps the most people that I work with recovering from fatigue-based issues. And I don't recommend snoozing at all, because what happens is, instead of waking your body up, programming your body to get out of bed right when the alarm goes off, you start to just hit the snooze button, go back into a little bit of slumber. You wake up, you're going to wake up groggier. It will take a week or so, but just set your alarm or set your thing a little bit away from your bed so that you have to get up. You just have to make yourself get out of bed. The whole thing with a snooze, I know a lot of people snooze 3 or 4 times, and that's like 10 minutes each time. Just set your alarm clock for a half hour later. Just give yourself a half hour more sleep. Why not? You're going to get so much more benefit out of it. And then just wake yourself up when you absolutely have to get out of bed. My other recommendation is that you give yourself an extra 15 or 20 minutes in the morning before you have to get out of the house, so that you're not so rushed. If you're not so rushed, you're going to start your day calmer. It's going to be so much better for your entire mind and body. So that answered the majority of the questions that I get in that come up. This is all about resetting your sleep cycle. It's about getting into a deeper form of sleep, which is going to be more restorative, and it's going to improve, like I said, every facet of your life, from your body transformation, improving your overall wellness, and living a longer, better quality of life. It really does. It doesn't start with sleep, but sleep is such a huge factor in all of this, because it's only when you're sleeping is your body truly rejuvenating. When you move into that parasympathetic phase of the nervous system, that is truly when you start to reduce cortisol, you boost natural DHEA, you boost natural testosterone, growth hormone. These are all things that will naturally help to repair your body. So do make sure that you take sleep seriously. Do try to get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night, and that it is restorative, that you're staying asleep while you are in bed. Let me know if there's any follow-up questions to this. Simply go to stevencabral.com/ask Cabral, and I'll be happy to answer those on our upcoming Cabral host call episodes. Have a great day, everyone. I will talk with you soon. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.